Hello, guys. Welcome to our podcast, The Kvetching Hour. With me is my co host, Amanda Karen. We're two Jewish comedians. Here we want to cover all Jewish topics. Hope to make you laugh, hope to make you think, and maybe if you're a Gentile, you'll want to explore circumcision.
If you're a biological male, do not explore circumcision if you're a biological female.
Yeah, that would
Please.
be a different kind of people would be doing that podcast, I think.
Different audience. That's right.
Very different audience, different part of the world. Not doing that one.
Mm-mm.
But Amanda, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Maybe a fun fact.
Sure. So I'm also in California, like yourself. I'm from New York though, and something really funny happened to me yesterday. It warmed my heart. I was doing a comedy show here in the Valley, and somebody came up to me after I said one sentence and says, "Are you from the East Coast?" And I said, "Oh, how did you know?" He said, "Your presence, just like I just heard you speak, and I just suddenly want pizza." And I was like, "My presence exudes pizza appetite. I am so honored."
You're tasty, I guess. Yeah, I went to college in the East Coast. I get it. I looked at you first time I met you. I did get a little bit hungry. I'm not gonna lie. Wasn't
Yeah,
sure
I
what I was
mean,
craving, but it felt something a little Italian. So I
there's
think that all
latkes
checks
cooking
out.
in the kitchen. So story checks out. Happy Hanukkah, by the way.
Happy Hanukkah to you. So yeah, tell us a little bit about your experience with Hanukkah.
Mm-hmm. Well, so my Hanukkah tidbit slash fun fact is that I didn't meet a non-Jew until I was like double digits age, like 10 or 11.
Wow.
Um, that I know of. And if I did, that they were like, put a red thread on my hand. But yeah, no, just grew up in like a super insular suburb of New York. And so Hanukkah always was like the warmth in the cold. I have now lived on the West Coast for a decade, and so I can no longer tolerate the cold weather. But when I was forced to, you're just like inside with the warmth and the lights and then the presents and the smell of matches like takes me back. It was my favorite. Yeah.
So it has a special place in your heart.
Yeah, like we would have the kids decorations like hung up all over the kitchen. My siblings are a bunch older, and so they were like long out of the house, but their like 3-year-old macaroni Hanukkah was still hanging from the chandelier, hearkening to like eras past. But yeah, it just kind of made me feel like we were like one big family together again. How about you?
That's so wholesome. I have a more jaded opinion. For me, it was very transactional with my parents. It was like I want presents so I don't feel left out in school.
Mm.
I remember kind of feeling gypped that I was doing Hanukkah. Like I remember like in fourth grade or something, I thought, it was hot shit that I was like getting 8 presents. I not even that much. I think most nights we didn't even finish Hanukkah because it was like my parents were just like, here, we'll give you the best present in the beginning. We're done, just get out. So like typically we stopped at night 4. I had other things like
Ah,
homework, lacrosse practice, stuff like that to worry about. It just wasn't that big of a deal. But I remember bragging in like fourth grade saying, "Oh yeah, I got 8 presents," and like some other kid was like, "Oh no, fuck off! Like I got way more for Christmas. I get like 50." Looking back on it, his dad was homeless, so I don't think he was telling the truth. But always felt a
whoa.
little short sighted, a little felt a little jealous, but at the time.
I mean, you could interpret that two ways. You could interpret it as like 50 presents. He got like a deck of cards and it was just like missing 2 cards.
Oh man, looking
Or
back on it, that might have been the case, and I just feel bad.
yeah,
Bad.
or they just had like different priorities, like, the kids, I don't know if this is like the right age, but the kids Tickle Me Elmo took precedence over a roof. That's, priorities.
I mean, you can't say
Um,
they don't love their kids. You can't say if they don't love their kids if they
right.
do that.
Exactly. But yeah, so how when you're talking about this with people, how would you spell it?
Well, so I go out of my way, like on my day to day, to be like as Jewy as possible. Like I watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, and I'm like, Larry David is my spirit animal. I mean, I'm running a Jewish podcast for Christ's sakes, and it seems like Hanukkah is the more Jewy version of saying it. So you think I would embrace it, but like the way I say it, like I'm too afraid of getting spit in the other person's face by going
Hmm.
Hanukkah. I'm like spitting it out, and I'm like feeling the spit leave my mouth, and I get a little paranoid. So I'll stick to just a kind of a generic Hanukkah for everyone else's uh comfort. That's
In some
Hanukkah.
ways, it's as if like the height of COVID could have also been the height of your Yiddishkeit. Because with the mask on, you didn't have to worry about being a Sayer sprayer. You could be like Hanukkah all over the room.
Oh yeah, no, that absolutely. Yiddish was kind of my everyone had that like COVID hobby. I was I was I was all about getting on a Michigas to learn it. And yeah, I got a little verklempt learning it actually.
Because it like brought you back to, your blood.
Oh yeah, totally. My very
Hmm.
Ashkenazi blood. I don't look Ashkenazi, but here I am.
But you're just tan.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Apparently the Russian, like Eastern Russia, has some brown people. I don't know. I have a buddy who's also a Russian Jew and is as dark as me, but he also has like Asian eyes. Um,
Oh, well, that's like the eastern part of Russia.
oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. But like now I'm also telling people I'm part Ukrainian just to, fit in. So.
Because you want them to vilify you if you're like saying the R word.
Well, okay, let's look at my like the countries that like form me on my 23andMe. Right now I have Russia, I have Israel, I have Cuba. Like people aren't gonna like you.
Yeah, good point. You're
Yeah,
a
so I got to just throw in Ukraine there to like fit in.
you're an amalgam of everyone's enemy. Like everyone
Pretty
can get a
much.
piece of you.
Oh yeah, no one likes me.
Yeah, when I like think about how to say Hanukkah, I think about what I teach my bar and bat mitzvah students, which I always tell them, those of us who went to day school, like growing up, like,
Oh yeah.
essentially like conservative yeshiva, we always kind of have like we think we're on a pedestal because we like know the right places to bow in the Aleinu, and we know that's a big one, and we know just like how to say the resh instead of resh. And one thing is that we clear our throats. We say Hanukkah. We say Chai. No Lahaim. No
Oh.
Shir Hadash. It's Shir Hadash. And so I tell my students, if you're not clearing your throat, if you don't need a tissue or a throat lozenge after your Torah portion, you're doing it wrong.
That sounds like I could see a lot of people getting really sick though from like your classes, especially their little kids. I mean, you get a cold like every 2 weeks when you're that age. And
No.
everyone's like spitting on each other with like no sense of like, you know, comfort. It just like I just imagine everyone got the flu like first week.
Well, and then you could imagine like a worse offense, which is, the Torah has to like remain pristine. And if there's any smudging, you have to bury the whole thing. And
Don't you have to like fast too?
that's if you drop it.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, that happened in my parents' shul, and they kind of like split up the fast between a lot of people, like took shifts over the 40 days. My parents are like, no nonsense about this. They actually got more religious recently. But yeah, so I am a CH kind of gal with Hanukkah. Then there's all sorts of questions, with the spelling, but we can dissect that in a bit.
Absolutely. And yeah, then there's the whole
Hmm.
2Ks debate. So that's something else. And typically I don't like to see multiple Ks because I typically
Yeah.
think of the KKK, and I don't think they would like us using them in in our holiday. Something tells me they don't want to be associated with Hanukkah. I don't know.
You
Just a
can't
hunch.
you can't spell Hanukkah with two K's and then say kooky, because then that usually get in the K, and like,
Yeah, yeah. So apologies to any KKK listeners out there, as I'm sure they're all about the Jewish podcasts.
everyone's welcome.
So
Very fine people on both sides.
Oh, of course, of course. And we will not replace you if you listen. So yeah, that's my Charlottesville reference. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so it sounds like you like Hanukkah a little bit more than I do, and I gotta be
Mm.
honest, I'm a little bit of a Hanukkah Grinch. I For all the things that
We
I
need one
have
of
learned,
those. Hmm.
well, we need more fictional characters, but we can get to that in a few
Right.
minutes. Um, Hanukkah, I mean, every rabbi will agree with me. This will be kind of a hot take. It won't be a hot take, but it very much feels like a C tier holiday that's trying to be repurposed so kids like myself and you could, just feel a little bit better about, not getting Christmas presents. And
Yeah.
honestly, that's okay. That doesn't bother me. I think it actually makes a lot of sense um, to do it. And I don't want to sound like I'm discouraging anyone from celebrating Hanukkah. But there's just a few things I want to dissect here that I just think are weird and don't make sense and don't work.
Do it.
Thank you. So first off, let's talk about the story. Oh my God, a story, a holiday about Jews avoiding genocide. When have I heard that one before? Right? We got Passover and Purim, which objectively speaking are just way more compelling stories. I mean, compared to Hanukkah. First, let's go over Passover. I mean, it's friggin' Moses. We have like two great movies, Ten Commandments and Prince of Egypt, about the story. I mean, Moses is a badass with the gray hair and the staff, and it like has a cool end scene when he like parts the Red Seas, and there's like all
Yep.
this drama with him and Ramsey. It's a great story. I listen to it every Seder. I never get bored. I always say, spoiler alert, Moses frees the Jews before every Passover Seder.
And spoiler alert, Mariah and Whitney have like, vocal showdown at the end of that song.
Wait, what? You mean
At
Mariah
the
Carey and Whitney?
Yeah, there can be miracles when you believe. Yeah, and
Yes.
then they're like showing off at the end, and it was clear that the producers were like, Mariah, you take this. No, Whitney, calm down. Mariah. And you could tell that
It's
they were like
symbolic
out
of the
divaing each
rivalry.
other.
Right, it's symbolic of the rivalry between Moses and
Oh,
Ramses.
that's definitely what happened there. The
Gotta think deeply
infinite
about it.
wisdom of Hollywood.
Yep. They always know they always know what they're doing. Well,
And as
not
Kanye
quite.
would say, and the Jews who run it.
And the teams who run it. I hope you're listening, Kanye. I hope you appreciate that shout out.
Shout out to you. Yeezys.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently he has kind of turned a new leaf though. Like he watched 21 Jump Street, saw Jonah Hill, and was like, maybe you guys aren't so bad anymore.
Oh,
Apparently, yeah, yeah. I don't know. It didn't get enough coverage, but yeah, thankfully, in all the rise of anti-Semitism of late, Kanye's been pretty quiet.
right. Because you would have expected maybe a few songs about it
Now he's
by
like, oh my
now.
God, I can really, people are finally going to listen to me now again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, hmm,
True story, just because we're on the topic of Kanye. Sorry for going off
yeah.
topic. I was at like a barber shop, and fun fact for our viewers, I just moved here to Orange County, and I'm looking for a new place to find a barber, and I'm sitting down at the shop, and the guy who's cutting the dude's hair, uh, he's telling him how much he loves Kanye, and I'm like, okay, well maybe he just likes the music, but then he's like saying his lyrics speak the truth, and I'm like,
Nice.
oh boy, I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous here.
Yep.
And but like whatever, it's too late. I've been waiting for a while. My hair is getting all bushy and gross. I want this hair. Can I just get it? And it's
Sweet
like the best
speak. You
haircut.
get the Jew fro is growing and
I don't want the
growing.
it's SoCal here. It's always warm. I don't want a Jew fro.
Hmm.
Um, and it's the best haircut I've ever had. And now I just don't
Oh,
know. Like, what do you think? Do I go back to a guy who's praising Kanye, who I don't know if he's praising his views but when you say he speaks the truth, that is worrisome.
yeah. I mean, any song is pretty much worrisome there. You could
Well, he
just
doesn't
put
have
in
any songs about bashing the
headphones.
Jews.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I'm just even thinking back to like the college days. Like, it's above my pay grade to say Kanye's lyrics on air, but needless to say, it's not what a feminist chica can strive towards as her anthem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
about your Hanukkah hot take, hot latka take, lot take, latka take, that didn't work. I get it. It's not, like like the three pillars are Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, and then as rabbis love to say, the World Series of Judaism is Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, um, and then a kid favorite is Tashlich in between. Yeah, Hanukkah definitely has this like PR angle, like just getting us out there, getting, rivaling the tree with like other potential candidates for what should be in our house, having the Chanukah, that guy, and
But
that
even
lives
the way
there.
this, sorry,
Go
sorry.
on.
Continue.
Yeah.
No, no, I was gonna say, but that's even the thing though. Even from the PR move, the story and the way it's told is not terribly compelling. As I've already said, Passover is, I think, a way just more interesting story. And then
Hmm.
if you look at the other genocide holiday, Purim, let's take a step at that. I mean, it's not sure it works in the Me Too era because it's about a guy who pimps out his cousin to stop a genocide, and then we celebrate by getting drunk and cross dressing.
Solid
Weird
summary.
holiday.
TLDR.
Weird, very weird holiday. I can't wait to do an episode about it. Um, but it's interesting. I don't know if the story works in a post Me Too era,
Mm.
but it's interesting. I could see it working as like a really sex-filled HBO miniseries, you know, but
Or Lifetime movie.
or a Lifetime movie. Yeah, yeah. I wonder if they find some low-grade rent actress to play Esther who can't act. I don't know. That'd be offensive.
Hmm.
Probably, probably. But if you look at the Hanukkah story, there's not really a main character. You could argue Judea, right?
Judah.
Judah. See, I don't even remember his name. Um, yeah, well, Judah, and I mean, Lord knows Judah. There's another Judah. Or, no, there's Judah. Yeah, I'm getting him confused. He's that forgettable. He's just a very forgettable main
Yeah.
character. Antioch, he's just another fascist king. But then my real issue with it is the way the story ends, or the way it's been told from like when I was a kid, and I had an issue with this when I was like from like 6 years old onwards, is like they make the menorah and the candles not burning out like the climax of the story.
Hmm.
And holy shit, is that not just very anticlimactic? Like it's just candles not burning out. Like, and people say, oh, well, it's just a metaphor for the resilience of the Jewish people. Well, no shit, Sherlock. That doesn't make it all of a sudden compelling, right?
Yeah, like it's not a strong enough use case.
Right, right, right. Like some
Yeah.
candles didn't burn out, and therefore this means that, and it didn't impact, I guess, the battle, right? Because that's what Hanukkah is
Yeah.
really celebrating, like the fact that they avoided the genocide. So you telling me to like the climax of the story should be like a battle, and like make it epic, where like Judah sees Antioch like across the field and like shoots a barrel and arrow, or they get in a cool like sword fight and like you know make it more epic.
Okay. Yeah. So you're saying essentially, like you said, C tier, it's like kind of the Cameo of Jewish holidays. Like
But
they're trying to make a buck. And so they, put their services on cameo.com. Like,
exactly.
yeah. So actually, speaking of Cameo, there's like a famous one from a couple years ago where Smokey Robinson was commissioned to say Happy Hanukkah to someone, but it was in writing and it was in my writing because it was a CH. And so he gets to the camera and he's like, yo, Timmy. I don't know, Timmy. I'm thinking South Park. Yo, Timmy.
Timmy.
Timmy. Or if we're thinking like Jewish, we should say like Yehuda. Hey Yehuda, I was tasked with wishing you a happy Chanukah. Happy Chanukah. And so he's like, I don't know what that means, but happy Chanukah. And so
Oh
that
my
went viral.
goodness. But anyway, you're living in Vancouver now, and they want me to wish you happy Chanukka. I have no idea what Chanukka is, But happy Chanukah.
And that's how I see it sometimes now because of my boy Smokey. And a lot of people are like, wow, she's so ignorant. But
I
I
don't know. I
kind of
kind of
like
like
that,
it.
like backwards
Chinooka,
ignorance. Like I love saying like I want my tacos with jalapenos.
or you want a
Um,
quesadilla?
no quesadilla, yeah, bring it on. It's more delicious when it's that easy cheese. Americanize it as much as possible. But yeah, I think it's like reclaiming. We can just like say, Smokey, it's okay. We like it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, yeah. Chinooka. I don't know. It kind of rolls off the tongue better than Hanukkah,
Hmm.
right?
Chinooka.
Maybe if we start calling it Chinooka, I don't know. Maybe people get more passionate about it.
It would certainly fit better in like hip hop songs. And there's not a lot of media about Hanukkah, but I did find a song by David Diggs, from Hamilton called Puppy for Hanukkah. And it's like, hip hop talking about getting a puppy for Hanukkah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Why do you think there is a lack of lack of Hanukkah music out there? I mean, we have that Adam Sandler song.
Yes. I have thoughts, and they all lead to Kanye's theory being wrong because if Jews owned Hollywood, there would be more Hanukkah music.
Mind blown. Take that, Kanye.
Yeah, that just like came to me as an epiphany. If we're getting on like a presidential debate, ooh, and he did run for president, so
He did. He did. He, you know what though? People didn't give his campaign enough credit for though. He named his party the birthday party. That's kind of
and his
awesome.
kid's name is like
Northwest.
Northwest, so
Yeah.
there's that. So he's got the pun situation on lock, but I could, Mr. West, you claim that the Jews they own Hollywood, but there's evidence to the contrary about their lack of music on Hanukkah. What do you have to say about that? And who knows what would happen from there? A
Next thing you know,
masterpiece.
he converts to Judaism.
Well, welcome, Kanye.
Yeah, we
It is
we
a
could use.
process, though. As Sex and the City taught us, it's not easy to convert to Judaism. You got to
Yeah,
beg and bang down the rabbi's door.
I think we should do an episode on people who convert.
Yes, I have.
And no,
Yeah.
what the hell are you thinking? Why you want to put up with all the bigotry? You want to get IBS and
Develop lactose intolerance.
Develop lactose intolerance. You'll need sunscreen even though it's only 65 degrees out.
I should say that
doing?
my friend who's coming over for a latke party, like in half an hour, it's worth it. I'm ruining my lighting, but it's worth it. He lent me this. He converted, and out of everyone, he's the best Jew. He's the one who lent me this book.
The Talmudic argument.
Yes. And it's just like all about like different arguments in the Mishnah and like kind of because I borrowed it for comedic purposes. Oh, that's such a Shonda. But I did it so like I could kind of learn and like, make my comedy more well educated with that respect. But point is, people who convert are like the most dedicated of all.
Oh yeah, I've seen that all the time. I've seen
Mhm.
that, which is why I mean they weren't just born into this where you're like, all right, I got to do it now.
Yeah.
They seeked it out. I mean, it makes total sense.
Oh, check it out. They chose to be chosen.
Did
Yeah,
God
that
choose
could be.
them or did they choose God?
Whoa.
Dude,
Love it.
gosh, I thought this was gonna be a comedy show. We're just super deep here.
As you said, like the lack of media is certainly there. Like I'm planning my holiday party for the office, and like I'm asking the Indians like what to play for the holidays. I even have like a Chinese Christmas list, Italian, and like I don't feel like we're gonna sit around and listen to like the Hanukkah song. And he talks about like Monica, sorry, not Monica,
Phoebe
Ross
and
and
Ross.
Phoebe, and then the Three Stooges and OJ Simpson.
Not a Jew. We got it.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna like we're gonna be like playing White Elephant and eating Italian food, and we're not gonna be listening to that. So yeah, it is kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean the song is iconic.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
it's not, sorry,
iconic.
it's not iconic for us, but I misspoke. It's like, I mean, it is iconic for us, but it's also very dated.
Right. Like there's no way my niece knows who any of those humans are.
Right. It doesn't hold the timeless tale that Jingle Bells has.
And that everybody's redone and like improved over time. I just found Mariah Carey's iconic All I Want for Christmas redone with Mariah and Justin Bieber, and it's
Not
pretty
fair.
awesome.
So I want Justin Bieber to sing a song for us.
Yes. I'll take him too. Even
Oh
though
yeah,
his hair is the opposite of a Jewfro, it's those like straight locks that all the girls in my Jewish day school just like would have killed for.
yeah, yeah. He does rock the hair. Yeah, I would become a believer if he joined.
Believer.
If he switched teams. So
Though,
yeah.
speaking of songs, there is a great song by the Levies. They break down the spelling debate, which I really appreciate. The C versus H, the K's, the N's, even a potential J. And
Oh, for
so
Julio. Well, that's what Julio says in the song,
that's
right?
what Julio says. And I really, really appreciate their breakdown.
Should we play the song?
Yeah, let's just play that chunk.
I am confused. What about those N's and K's? Do you use one or two? I remember when I was back in elementary school, a Spanish kid told me that it starts with a silent J, but Julio was wrong. Or maybe he was right. Can someone decide? Make up your mind. Chart spell check and Webster's. Is there an answer to my question? Someone please help me. Just tell me, how do you spell Hanukkah?
But Adam Sandler like really kind of has a monopoly on the media coverage of Hanukkah and just generally like all things Jewish with his new movie with his daughter's bat mitzvah movie.
He's what Santa Claus is to Christmas.
He brings us joy and presents.
He does.
And then of course,
there's 8 Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
And it's the most famous Hanukkah movie of all time, yet has 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
13 for bar mitzvah.
All part of the plan.
So I think you saw it when you were a bit younger, but I just watched it, and I have to admit it was only 70 minutes long, but it felt a little slow, so I watched it in 2x.
So you didn't care for it?
No, but that's the thing. So the first few minutes were a little slow, then I watched it in 2x, and it became absolutely wonderful. The songs just like had a dancing beat, and then Ella was so funny when she was fast talking about her wigs, and it was just like magical. And then the like the visuals were quicker, and I got into it. I wish we could have watched movies back in 2x, you know, back in the day. I would have probably been a lot more into. That's true, but like, you know, the epic ones, like I would have been a lot more into Gone with the Wind if it weren't 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know if I'd
Mhm.
like the acting though. If you could appreciate the acting of Gone with the Wind, if they were talking like this and it was, frankly, I don't give a damn. Like, frankly, I don't give a damn. Like, it doesn't quite roll off the tongue quite as well.
Yeah, I do notice about Adam though a pattern in some of his movies, like the guy. Oh, spoiler alert!
A
The
20-year-old movie that
statute
isn't
of
very popular.
limitations after 10 years, you know.
Yeah, especially if it's not a huge hit. So
No, I think they all could get the same statute.
I guess if more people have seen it, yeah, like Lord of the Rings came
Yeah,
out
it
the
should
same
be
time.
inverse. It
Yeah,
should be in
spoiler
verse.
alert, they dropped the ring in there. So, but
And then
yeah, a lot of you haven't
Smeagol.
seen. Yeah, a lot of
Mhm.
you haven't seen Eight Crazy Nights. Let's hear your spoiler.
Just Adam always ends up with the girl at the end with minimal effort.
Yeah, that's the running trope. That's something we have to discuss in an Adam Sandler episode. How does he get these girls who are way out of his league?
Yes.
Little,
Like
little.
in no universe did Billy Madison deserve Veronica Vaughn.
No,
That Veronica Vaughn.
or
There's
Happy
no way.
Gilmore deserved the chick from Modern Family.
And yeah, the like his lost love from high school in this one, after he was such a royal dick, like to everyone in the town. And then he's like supposed to go to jail, and then he's like, I think I'm better now. And then he stays out of jail and he gets the girl.
Yeah, well, that was my biggest problem with the movie is that he's such an asshole. Where it's like, okay, we get the sad story that his parents were killed in a car accident. I mean, Batman's parents were killed too. He wasn't a dick. Like,
Mm.
he was like a little bit too mean. And I'm like, we're supposed to root for this like story of him and Whitey like bonding, but it's like such a one-sided relationship where one is acting like a complete psychopath and pushing him down a porta potty, which by the way, I still have a fear of porta potties from this day. Just because of that scene. Like I went
Gave
to
you a legacy.
yeah, I went to a music festival like 2 weeks ago and I had to use a porta potty, and the entire time I was like sweating because I was just, oh my God, what if someone knocks down this porta potty?
Yeah, well, it's a good thing that's the only liquid you were covered in.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, yeah, I wish that like the one movie that people know wasn't also littered with like kind of not even cheesy tropes, but like offensive tropes in that regard. Like the things he said to Whitey, like the sweetest man arguably in animated history, like selfless, caring, and loyal, and he just gets literally shit on.
Yeah, it's not. I don't root for that friendship. I think Whitey deserved better. Whitey's voice was also a little too grainy for me. I don't know. I preferred Eleanor's voice. Like, you know, yeah,
I mean, they're all Adam, so you should run your complaint up to the top.
I will. And maybe when we have an episode featured just on Adam Sandler, maybe he'll guest star. And we'll be like, dude, come on, he could have got a better voice because I'm
He
sure.
could Zoom bomb.
Oh, I'm sure he would love to Zoom bomb our podcast.
But honestly, like, I know we don't have too much time left. Do you like when people say Christmas and think of it? How does it make you feel? Does Christmas on the whole? I have a few friends who like hate it, but does it make you feel Hanukkah make you feel warm and fuzzy?
You know, but just because my Hanukkah experience was so transactional as a kid, and it was about
Transactional.
so about like, just don't be a bitch. It's here, just take your presents. Here, an Xbox, boom. You know, I don't get the warm. Never really have. Again, don't hate it. But you know, what kind of person at, you know, I'm 30 years old, am I gonna get like 8 presents from my parents? The envy's gone down because I see that there's a lot of cynicism about Christmas too, and you know, I think my doe-eyed innocence realized that a lot of people don't like Christmas that much,
Yeah.
so it's not quite the same. That like, but yeah, no, I don't get the hype around. But there's a little bit like, oh, I wish I had that magical Christmas feeling.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, like, so it's a bad word to some people, but you know, I grew up in Japville, so like that is a word that we accepted and owned, and so the Japs got the 8 presents, and I felt morally superior that we got presents every other night, like 4. This is not a present night, but we still can light candles. Oh no, present night. And then I got my mom does this tradition where she gets us a monogrammed gift every year. So every year it's like a frame, or you know, this year it's like a little stand for our phones. It's been M&Ms, Post-its, robes, blankets. And she's like running out of ideas, and every year we're all excited to see what she got monogrammed. It was an iPhone cord, and that's what made my now husband get an iPhone instead of an Android, because he's like, I have to use your mom's iPhone cord from Hanukkah.
Well, then your mom's a hero.
That's dedication. Exactly. Now the family text groups are blue.
Oh my God. Oh, that must be. Yeah, that's a hero. That's like, okay, that's for fuck the candles, man. That's the real Hanukkah miracle. That your husband got off the Android.
Yeah. I do have a bone to pick with you though. You use the M word, and that is not jiving with my day school snobbery. You said
Whoa.
menorah.
Okay. When you said the M word, I thought you said the N word, and I was about to get very defensive. Like, no, I didn't. But
No, M as in M&M, as in menorah. Even worse.
Okay. Take a deep breath.
Because in case people don't know, the menorah is the 3, 3, and 1. For like that was in the temple for the days of the week. The Hanukkah is 4, 4, and 1 for the 8 days of Hanukkah. But some rabbi or some marketer gave it, it says menorah, and I get a chip on my shoulder when I hear rabbi say the M word, because come on, people.
Well, to be fair, isn't that like kind of less confusing? I mean, we already have a bazillion ways to, pronounce a holiday, yet like Hanukkah is not even one of them. So it's like, this is a Hanukkah, and there's Hanukkah and Hanukkah and all these other N's and K's and H's and C's and what have you. And then now
You're
you
saying it's like it lumps in.
Exactly. I'm just assuming come on. That's just another way of saying the name, saying the holiday.
I don't know, excuses. It's just like you're outing yourself as somebody who didn't do their homework, and that also does not jive with day school mentality. We're all nerds.
I guess I'll let you run the podcast.
It's all about that Ivy. You're doing your homework and you're calling it Hanukkah. So anyway, I get it. It's just like everything you said. It's kind of what's become like the main culture. And about warm and fuzzy, like you're around the table, it's flammable. You're not gonna be like warm and fuzzy like Christmas morning on the couch watching the snow, just objectively.
Yeah, and just 8 nights is a little too long for me. I get bored after night 4.
Yeah, it's funny that you said your parents like put it away after that, because that reminds me of Passover, when you just like cut off the rest of the Seder after the meal. But
well, that's with hunger. I get that. So we're almost out of time here, but I gotta ask one more question before we go, and that's: do you have a bush? A Hanukkah bush, that is. Whoops.
Do we embrace the bush? That's a great question. I mean,
better way of phrasing
it's a question that everyone from the 70s wanted to know, but in a different context. I do embrace the bush. My husband is a goy, and we can discuss whether that's offensive, but I don't think it is. And maybe the bush is the compromise.
Wow. I'd love to see your Hanukkah bush sometime.
I know, it's all lit up and colored, and it's got some fun stuff. Lots of colors. Yep.
Cool. Well, show it to me next week.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Happy Hanukkah, Chag Sameach. Happy jCHannnukkaH.
Chag Sameach, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon on the Kvetching Hour.
See you.